and salutations, and welcome to the first ever installment of the KittyFoxCast. This is going to be an experimental project. It is going to last roughly around 30 minutes to half an hour. That made no sense. It's going to last around 30 minutes to 1 hour. There we go, Sammy. It is currently 12 a.m. on August 31st, 2023. Some of you may notice the YouTube channel that you're watching this on is brand new. However, the content that you will find on this channel is nowhere near brand new. We will be uploading past Twitch streams and this lovely podcast that you're listening to right now. Some of you have pitched the idea to me that I need to have a podcast of my own. So here we are. So, I guess like any podcast form, we should talk about our sponsors, which I have none of currently, but maybe one day we will have some, so who knows. I would like to give a special shout out to some lovely individuals. Dexter the Shepherd, aka Cosmic Foxy, for helping me with this idea. Dexter, you may not remember, but you and I had a conversation not too long ago about how I should have a podcast and how much fun it would be. I also want to thank Dante the Griffin for doing the same, saying, hey, a podcast would be pretty pog, your words. And among others that I've heard in the comments over the past few months. Actually, it's been like a year, I'd say, of pitching this idea of a podcast. So here is the first installment. So we're going to start. What is going on in my life? Well, let me tell you what has been happening. I recently returned from Indy Furcon over this past weekend. I was happy enough and blessed enough to be rooming with a very good friend of mine, Nyla Kitty. Nyla, thank you for opening your room to me and my friends. Thank you for your hospitality over this past weekend, and thank you for giving me a wonderful con experience that I was able to have. It was really hectic getting there and getting back home, which I will talk about here in a minute. But I just want to say overall, Indy Furcon was a fantastic con experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. As of Monday, things have gotten better. The post-con depression has settled, and I'm currently working towards looking and preparing for Megaplex 2023, which is coming up in about 2 weeks, which I can't believe it's already that close. So that does help the post-con depression just a little bit, to know that another con is coming up very soon. Pardon me while I awkwardly move the microphone. Sorry about the noise. There we go. And the microphone needs to sit like this so that I can be heard. There we go. Much better. So, Indy Furcon. What can you say about it? Well, it started off on Friday, this past Friday, and I need to pull up my calendar because that is what people do, right? To look at dates. It was August 25th of this year. Well, I hope it was this year, otherwise I'm in a time warp. I opted not to take the day off on Friday. For those of you who don't know, I currently work as a warehouse personnel. That is what I do. I drive forklifts. I bring stuff in from outside, and I send stuff back outside after it has been processed and stamped and given my approval. So I've been doing that actually 2 years now. It's been 2 years since I've been working at this job. I love it. It's a job. It's something that helps me get by in life. It's not my truest passion. For some of you who really know me and maybe have never heard before, my true passion in life is psychology, which is what I went to school for. Maybe I'll talk about more of my school experience in another episode, but just know that I currently hold a Bachelor of Arts in psychology. I have worked in the field for approximately 6 months before I decided I need to further my education, and that will be coming within the future, hopefully. As the stars align, I will be going back to school to get my master's degree in psychology. Which program that is, I don't know, but I know I would like to specialize in counseling. Hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later. Anyhow, currently I work as a warehouse personnel. I drive forklifts. I do all that good stuff. High prone to injury, I must add, because we are very strict on our safety regulations. And if we're not clear on our safety regulations, then bad things happen. So far, I have not sustained critical injury, so I'm thankful for that. But anyhow, so it started off Indy Furcon, August 25th, on the eve, 6:30 p.m. is when I left with my good friends Dante the Griffin and Blue the Jackalope to head 4.5 hours to 5 hours west to Indianapolis. So those of you who might know, I reside in the Northeast Ohio area. I love it. It's low cost of living. I've lived here all my life. I don't intend to be leaving anytime soon, so I will enjoy it as long as I can. We gathered up our things, all of our fluffy elements, fursuits, collars, leashes, balaclavas, and fursuit spray accordingly, and we packed up my car and promptly drove 5 hours west. We got to the hotel around midnight, after a few stops to, use the potty trees, as they are known to be, because furries like to pee on trees for some reason, and to get the proper sustenance. We arrived at the hotel. It was kind of odd because we had just gotten off on the exit that we were supposed to, and we noticed that an ambulance was following us. Long drive, about 5 hours of a drive, and at the very last stretch of the drive, we get to the hotel, and the whole way up, the last few miles, there's an ambulance following us, like on track with us across 4 lanes, and we're wondering, maybe this thing is coming to the convention. Maybe this is an outside emergency that doesn't have anything to do with the convention. Wishful thinking, I know. We were dead wrong. It was, in fact, heading towards the convention. In fact, when I pulled in, we immediately began to unload my car. I parked in front of the hotel, hit the hazards. For those of you international listeners, we call hazards the blinking lights on the back of your car, your turn signals. Started unloading, and there immediately, standing at the door, was a Dorsai staff member. We started unloading, and he's giving us the eye the whole time. Like, what are these people doing? Why are they unloading here? Because there's something. Well, his face said everything. There's clearly something not right with this situation. It wasn't until we got almost everything unpacked that the Dorsai came up to me and said, "Hey, excuse me, you have to move your car." I was like, "Okay, no problem. I totally respect it. No issue here. Even if I have one more piece of luggage, I don't mind." So I told my boys, "I will meet you inside. Just take your stuff in. I will find parking," which, by the way, was a cluster in itself because I could not find parking for the life of me. For the laymen who are laywomen or lay-theys who are listening to this podcast, and to those of you who have never attended a furry convention before, just know that parking is always an issue. It doesn't matter if you go to a big con or a small con, parking is always going to be a factor. So I'm circling. It wasn't until the third circle around the parking lot that I noticed that a fire truck has pulled up in the space where I was in front of the front door, and therein behind it was the ambulance that was following us. So, and you might be asking, well, Samson, how do you know it was the same ambulance? Trust me, there were no other ambulances out that night. We heard it coming up the ramp as we were unloading. It's not something that you can really misplace easily. So that started off the con very, very, very nicely. It's not a furry convention unless there is an ambulance or a fire truck or police or some kind of emergency services that show up at some point during the weekend. And I'm sorry to say that, but that is the hard truth. Now, I finally found parking. I rolled up my little tote covered in stickers, because that's what furries do. They put stickers on their fursuit totes. And I wheeled it in, and sure enough, there are my boys standing in the lobby, and we're just watching the action. We noticed that a number of EMS had come back from the location that they had wheeled a gurney, a cart, a laying cart, from the, I'm assuming was the rave area, because when I parked, I heard the rave happening inside of the building right in front of me. So I was like, yep, this is the place. Confirmed. This is a furry convention. There is loud music. There is an ambulance. There is a fire truck. And there are people with ears and tails outside, including the Dorsai staff. We're at a furry convention. There's no doubt about it. Our lovely roommate Nyla comes down to greet us in fursuit, which, by the way, is adorable. Nyla, if you're listening, that suit is absolutely spectacular, and I am glad that you were able to find it in time for the con. So, thankfully, nobody was wheeled away in the gurney. We had heard later that somebody had passed out in the rave room of Indy Furcon. Somebody either was dehydrated or they were maybe on some substances. I can't say for legal reasons, but nobody got taken away that night. So yay, that is a win on the convention's part. We got up to our room, not back, but we got up to the room. We settled in. We sorted all our stuff. We were able to immediately get everything sorted for the next day. And pretty much all of us went to sleep that night because we were super tired. Long drive, you get the point. However, the good news about that was we were able to, well, I'll mention that there was comments in the room that I was out like a light, like immediately just passed out, because I guess I possess that skill that allows me to fall asleep very fast. I'm cool with that. I don't mind falling asleep very fast. So the next day comes, we head down to breakfast, and the whole time I am itching. Like from the minute I wake up to the point of getting registration, I was itching to get in fursuit. I was so ready. Like I was ready since midnight that previous night to get in fursuit and to just have a good time around the con. Something you also know about me is every convention that I go to, I tend to fursuit the extent of the con. It doesn't matter which con it is. I will fursuit the entire con. I don't care if it's 1 hour. I don't care if it's 8 hours. I will fursuit as much as I can. So, after breakfast, we head to the registration line, which we thought was going to be a painful experience. It was a little painful for myself because one of the Dorsai staff was asking, did you register within the last 3 weeks? And I said, yes, I have. And they said, within the last 72 hours? And I was like, no. I had registered that Thursday before, mind you, and I did not know what 72 hours meant. In that moment, I was frozen. I couldn't do math, and I had to go back to the Dorsai shamefully and say, hey, 72 hours is what day exactly? And mind you, this is Saturday morning. And the lovely Dorsai took mercy on me and said, dear, the 72 hours is before Thursday, so you don't have to worry. You can just go to that line over there. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I got my proper place. The line moved very fast. It only took 20 minutes to get through the line, thankfully, whereas previously people had mentioned that the line on Friday night and Thursday night were around 5 hours long. I was about to stand there for 5 hours, especially for a small furry convention. But nevertheless, we got our registration and we immediately began exploring the con. We went to the dealer's room, we went to the main events area, we went to the different panel rooms, and we saw, hey, this is a vibe. We're liking this a lot. It's a very cute and compact and sweet little con. I definitely enjoyed the feel of it immediately. It was very friendly. It was very open, very not too complicated, and things were communicated very well, I thought. Anyway, so after exploring the con, I immediately went back up to the room, suited up, and pretty much fursuited for the rest of the day. That was the best decision I made that whole day. So through Saturday and Sunday, I did as much fursuiting as possible. I decided to get in a maid's outfit Saturday night, which was a very good decision. I was able to make a lot of people happy. Went to the feline meetup, went to Convention War Stories, went to on Sunday I went to a main events panel called IFC What You Missed, which basically consisted of Fur and Status the Ferret going through the various elements of the convention. Saturday night, I was able to attend the fursuit dance competition, excuse me. And a good friend of mine, Tarakoon, placed second, which I was very proud to see. The next thing was Sunday night was the night that we had to leave. We decided, hey, maybe there's a rave going on. Maybe there's a dead dog dance going on. Maybe there's something like that. Well, I will say there was poor communication on the convention's part in saying there actually is no dead dog dance. Instead, there is a karaoke meet. It was called the Dead Dog Karaoke. So we went and sat there for a while, and we were like, wait, is there a rave happening? So we checked out main events, and there was no rave. And we were like, well, that kind of sucks. We're gonna call this a good con, and we're gonna head out from there. One thing that I will point out was I did buy a Care Bears backpack, a pink Care Bears backpack. I can't remember what. To those of you who are probably know more than I do, the pink Care Bear. I can't remember the name of the said Care Bear, but somebody out there in the comments, you can tell me. You can let me know. It was actually on Sunday night. It was posed to me by one of the wait staff at the inside restaurant at the convention. She said to me, she looked at me and she said, "Excuse me, how much would you take for that backpack? I will buy it off you right now." And I said, "I'm so sorry, it is not for sale." Thankfully, Blue Jackalope, good friend, was able to vouch and say, here's where you can get the backpack. And he was able to hook her up and let her know, hey, you can get one of your own. I would have sold it to her right there and then, except I was attached to it at that point because people loved that backpack all weekend long, and I wasn't about to sell it. It was a hit, and I loved it. It's very fluffy. It's very cute, and actually, believe it or not, there were 2 to 3 other people that I saw at the convention that actually wore similar backpacks, Care Bear backpacks. So I was like, let's go. This became Care Bear Con. I'm all for it. So that was an interesting thing that happened. But that overall was my experience at Indy Furcon this past weekend. I don't know my days. The next thing was driving home that night. We left somewhere around 11:30 p.m. Now, mind you, a 5-hour drive through Indianapolis, back to Ohio, 5 hours. We got back around 5 a.m. in the morning. And I stupidly, insanely decided not to work the next day. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. I stupidly decided that I was going to work the next day. Why didn't I take the day off? I don't know, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I tend to be a workaholic. I got promptly 2 hours of sleep. I woke up to my alarm at 7:30 a.m. I somehow dragged myself into my work clothes, got in my car, got to work, and immediately had a meeting. That's what you want. You want to have a business meeting right when you get into work, and especially after 2 hours of sleep. Somehow, I got through a full day's work. I don't know how, But Monday was a train wreck, and that night I don't even know how I got home. I don't know how I got in my bed. I don't know how I was able to get things ready for the next day, but all I remember from that night coming home is waking up at 3:30 in the morning and seeing that my alarms weren't set, my phone was not plugged in, and my door was not locked to my place. Oh joy. You gotta love that. So, thankfully, I was woken up by some spiritual force, and I was able to get everything ready for the next day and get an extra 4 hours of sleep, and I was all ready to go on Tuesday. Tuesday was easy because I was up and ready, and I had gotten a full night's sleep, which never happens anymore. I just want to say I slept like 9 hours, which I average around 6 every night, so because I'm too busy. I got so much going on. I don't have time to sleep because sleep is for the weak. Anyway, that's a good lesson to all you young furs out there. Sleep is for the weak. Just remember that. No, but seriously, you should get a full night's sleep. It is very beneficial to your health. And from there, here we are. Wednesday night, well, now Thursday morning, of this lovely, lovely endeavor that we're doing right now. The very, very first installment of the podcast. So, I don't know why it hit me all of a sudden tonight to do this, but I decided this was the right time. So we've done it, and we've done it well, hopefully. So, as it stands right now, looking forward to going to Megaplex in 2 weeks. I'm hoping that this hurricane that they're talking about does not have much effect on the Orlando area because, one, we are in a new hotel for Megaplex, and two, I really, really hope that everybody stays safe, especially if you're listening in the Florida area. Please be safe. Please take precautions. Take cover. Be safe. Be smart about your safety, and remember to keep your health upheld. That is very important. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you there in 2 weeks. And now, I would like to pose an opportunity to all of you who are still listening. If you are, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We will be doing questions at the very end of every podcast going forward. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments of this podcast, and I will read them on the next installment, which is going to be next week. Not sure entirely which day I'm going to upload these podcasts, but just know that they will be weekly, and hopefully within the right time frame, because I tend to miss time frames. I tend to be very bad at keeping schedules, so bear with me. But if you have a question, please let me know, and I will read it on the next podcast. I do have something to share with you currently, and I will pull it up right now. Okay, so I received a question from an anonymous contact. They will remain anonymous for this first installment only because I have not asked proper. Well, I shouldn't say permission, but I haven't really discussed that this would be happening. So, but it is a open-ended question. I think applies to many of us furries who have been in the fandom for X amount of years or even months. And it's a question not just from this one source, but from multiple sources. It's been asked by a number of people I've talked to, and it's actually very interesting. And the question is, what makes your fursona you? Well, that is a very interesting ask, I must say. Basically, it came down to your fursona. It is personal to you. It is something that you can portray as I've often heard it portrayed as an ideal version of yourself. An ideal version being something that you aspire to be, or something that holds traits that you would like to hold, you as a person, and it's more of an inspirational thing. It can also be a fantasy trait. So, for example, if you're really heavily into roleplay, your fursona or character slash OC can be a warrior, can be some otherworldly being, can be a omnipresent being, can be some entity that otherwise would not exist in this world that we know. And I would say I can only speak from my experience because I currently have 3 fursonas. Some of you may know that, others may not know that. We being those inquiring minds who have a personal connection with our fursonas, I can only speak for those 3. So my first one is Samson, the one that you all know, the kitty fox. My second one is Sparkles the bunny, which is more my female side and my female portrayal side, and Soren, which is my bird owl character, which is still a work in progress. I've yet to have a rough sheet for him even, but I'm sorry for them. Soren is my gender neutral side, and I think all 3 of these fursonas make up me as a person. I identify as male, he, him pronouns. However, Sparkle's pronouns are she, her, and Soren's pronouns are they, them. So, just kind of an Amber Alert. I hope that the people who are abducted are okay. I've been getting Amber Alerts all night. I'm not sure what that's about. It's just been one after the other. So hopefully that those can be resolved very soon. And if they are abductions, the people can be found properly and safely. Side note. Anyway, Samson is my main fursona. He embodies everything that I am and that I aspire to be. He's kind, caring, loving, sweet. He's humble. He is charitable. He has a personality that's always joyous and happy. He is someone who is always willing to help others and always willing to listen. Someone who gives or tries to give the best hugs to anybody who needs one. He dates back to 2011 to when I started in the fandom. He is my first fursona that I ever came up with, and definitely the one that I'm most proud of, the one that I have as my main for very good reasons. Sparkles is my female side. She dates back to 2015 when I decided, hey, I kind of I have some female traits that I would like to put out to the world. She is everything that I am except female. She is more of a flirty personality. She definitely has the loving, caring kindness in her heart, but she definitely has a more, I would say, suggestive or sensitive or even frisky is the right word, trait vibe to her. She definitely has a sense for fashion. She likes to be the center of attention. She doesn't necessarily seek the approval of others just for approval, but she likes to entertain, and she likes to give people something that they can look at and go, wow, that's a beautiful creature. So she kind of eats it up. She likes that she likes to be recognized in that way. She's also very crafty. She's very also humble, but also she likes to explore creativity as much as possible. She's also very smart. I made her kind of a techie and also a nerd, as I did Samson, and that's Sparkles. Soren, like I said, is still a work in progress. They are my bird owl fursona. They are more the adventurous type. They love to go around and just seek any opportunity of adventure, any opportunity that they can get to explore. They like to travel. They like to see new things and experience new places. They like to be they like to take their friends with them and um, like have like live life is what I would say. They are definitely they can be chaotic. They definitely have a temper up to them. They don't necessarily they're not very passe about their anger or their temper. That's kind of like a side trait, but it comes out from time to time, and I think that's because Soren is definitely has a warrior mindset. Soren is very protective of the ones that they love. They're very brave when it comes to times that they have to be. They are very they have integrity, they have honor, they have especially a just that mindset that says, I will go to war for my friends and I will take a bullet for you. And I will fight to the death if I have to. So that Soren is my more adventurous side and my more chaotic side, and a side that I definitely can portray my own personal insecurities on, and those insecurities just melt away in terms of fighting. Soren is a fighter, definitely. So all three of these personas make up who I am as a person. They make up all the sides of me that I can count for. They are a sort of a haiku, if you will, or a tree with a bunch of branches that branch off into various personality traits, and the stump or the base of the tree is me as a person, and branch out to these Fursonas. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to enact your own personalities and the aspiring personalities that you wish to have on them. So that's my answer. That's what I would say, what makes your persona you. Some discussions I've had with inquiring minds was some I've talked to don't feel necessarily that their persona really are them or is who they are, and they make changes accordingly. I see some furries who they make constant changes to their persona, and that's cool. It's your persona, you can do whatever you want. There are also those who have their persona and they keep it that way for many, many years, and they are happy with it. That's kind of how I feel about Samson, in the sense that I have made slight changes over the years, but for the most part, he is who he is, and he has stayed the same design and always will stay that design. Now, that being said, it still begs the question, is your persona you? Well, I would say very simply and plainly, yes, my persona is me. However, it doesn't come with flaw. It doesn't come without flaws. Every persona has their flaws. Every persona and portrayal has their downfalls and pitfalls and things that they are insecure about and things that they wish they not to show to the world. But I would say to that, it is important to embrace it. Embrace your failures. Embrace your faults. Embrace your downfalls, and embrace the things that make you insecure, that make you question yourself, that make you question things about your own personality and your own behaviors and other things. Because I once heard it said very well, if you can't fix it, then feature it. I forget who said that exactly, but each one of us has our flaws. Each one of us has our things that we're not proud of about ourselves. Each one of us has those things that we wish we could change, but it's not easy. However, that doesn't mean that we cannot embrace who we are. So that would be my encouragement as I leave you with this message. Embrace yourself, because there is no one like you in this world. There is no one ever going to be like you, and there has never been someone like you in history of the world. Be you. Be yourself. Be who you were meant to be, whoever that is, because there will never be an opportunity of you ever again. Let's remember that life is short, and let's remember that we can always, always be ourselves. We can be free in that. We can embrace who we are, and no matter what, we can always look back on that and say, you know what? I'm not here to please everybody. I've got nothing to prove. I got nothing to prove to anybody. I don't need the approval of others. I don't need to be perfect, because we're not meant to be perfect. All I can be is me. And this concludes episode number 1 of the KittyFoxCast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening all the way through. If you have, I will be looking forward to the next episode. Stay tuned on this channel, Get Mew Archive, for the next episode. Also stay tuned for continued Twitch uploads, which you will be seeing constantly, because I have a lot of archives. So I'm looking forward to having you with me in that. Until then, this is Samson Kitty Fox. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And always remember the Latin phrase that you see at the bottom of every one of my videos: Sic Parvis Magna. Greatness from small beginnings is what that translates to. Never forget where you came from. Never forget who brought you up on your way up. Never forget your humble beginnings, because if it wasn't for your humble beginnings, be they good or bad, really, it's what makes you who you are, and it's what's going to bring your ultimate purpose to life. Until next time, I want to thank you for all your continued support on this channel, on all my socials, and on my main channel. If you would like to check out my Linktree, you can find that on my channel. It is a link in the About section until YouTube lets me post links in the descriptions, which will happen very soon. But anyhow, until next time, be you. Remember your beginnings. I love you all, and I wish you all a lovely, lovely day, night, or time, depending on where you are. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you next time. Bye. Bye-bye.